हेमजासुतं भजे गणेशमीश नन्दनम् एकदन्त वक्रतुण्ड नागयज्ञसूत्रकम् रक्तगात्र धूम्रनेत्र शुक्लवस्त्रमण्डितं कल्पवृक्ष भक्तरक्ष नमोस्तु ते गजाननम् पाशपाणि चक्रपाणि मूषकादिरोहिणम् अग्निकोटि सूर्यज्योति वज्रकोटि निर्मलम् पाशपाणि चक्रपाणि मूषकादिरोहिणम् अग्निकोटि सूर्यज्योति वज्रकोटि निर्मलम् रक्तगात्र धूम्रनेत्र शुक्लवस्त्रमण्डितं कल्पवृक्ष भक्तरक्ष नमोस्तु ते गजाननम् भव्य हव्य तव्य भगुर्भाग वर्जितम् दिव्य वाहिनी काल जाल लोकपाल वन्दितम् भूत भव्य हव्य तव्य भगुर्भाग वर्जितम् दिव्य वाहिनी काल जाल लोकपाल वन्दितम् पूर्ण ब्रह्म सूर्य वर्ण पुरुषं पुरातकम् कल्पवृक्ष भक्तरक्ष नमोस्तु ते गजाननम् हेमजासुतं भजे गणेशमीश नन्दनम् एकदन्त वक्रतुण्ड नागयज्ञसूत्रकम् रक्तगात्र धूम्रनेत्र शुक्लवस्त्रमण्डितं कल्पवृक्ष भक्तरक्ष नमोस्तु ते गजाननम् विश्ववीर्य विश्वसूर्य विश्वकर्म निर्मलम् विश्वहर्ता विश्वकर्ता यत्र तत्र पूजितम् विश्ववीर्य विश्वसूर्य विश्वकर्म निर्मलम् विश्वहर्ता विश्वकर्ता यत्र तत्र पूजितम् चतुर्मुखं चतुर्भुजं सेवितं चतुर्युगं कल्पवृक्ष भक्तरक्ष नमोस्तु ते गजाननम् हेमजासुतं भजे गणेशमीश नन्दनम् एकदन्त वक्रतुण्ड नागयज्ञसूत्रकम् रक्तगात्र धूम्रनेत्र शुक्लवस्त्रमण्डितं कल्पवृक्ष भक्तरक्ष नमोस्तु ते गजाननम् नमोस्तु ते गजाननम् नमोस्तु ते गजाननम्
జై శ్రీ మాతాజీ.
స్టార్ట్ చేద్దాం.
యా, జై శ్రీ మాతాజీ. యా, ధ్యానానికి విచ్చేసినటువంటి అందరికీ నా హృదయపూర్వక స్వాగతము. మొట్టమొదటిగా మనము బంధం తీసుకుందాము. మనము శ్రీ మాతాజీ యొక్క అనుమతిని తీసుకుందాము ఈ ధ్యాన కార్యక్రమానికి. శ్రీ మాతాజీ, మా అందరికీ ధ్యానం చేసుకోవడానికి మీ యొక్క అనుమతిని మాకు ప్రసాదించండి తల్లి. అమ్మా, మా చుట్టూ ఉన్నటువంటి వాతావరణంను ధ్యానంకు అనుకూలంగా మరల్చండి తల్లి. మనము 2 చేతులు భూమి మీద పెట్టుకుందాము. అమ్మా, మా శరీరంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అధిక వేడిని ఈ భూతత్వం ద్వారా పూర్తిగా తొలగించండి. అమ్మా, భూమాతకు ఉన్నటువంటి ఓర్పును సహనంను మాకు అందజేయండి. శ్రీ గణేశుని యొక్క లక్షణాలను మాలో పెంపొందించండి తల్లి. ఈ గణేశుని లక్షణాలను మాలో పెంపొందించుకోవడానికి అవసరమైనటువంటి శక్తిని మాకు ప్రసాదించండి తల్లి. మాలో ఉన్నటువంటి అనవసరమైనటువంటి అన్ని రకాల భయాలను పూర్తిగా తొలగించండి. మమ్మల్ని ధ్యానానికి అనుకూలంగా మరల్చండి తల్లి. మా చుట్టూ వాతావరణంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని రకాల అడ్డంకుల్ని, నకారాత్మకతను మరియు మా అంతర్గత సూక్ష్మ వ్యవస్థలో ఉన్నటువంటి నకారాత్మకతను పూర్తిగా తొలగించండి తల్లి. మనం ఇప్పుడు 3 మహామంత్రాస్ తర్వాత గణేశ మంత్రం తీసుకుందాము.
ఓం త్వమేవ సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ మహాలక్ష్మి మహాసరస్వతి మహాకాళీ త్రిగుణాత్మికా కుండలిని సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ ఆదిశక్తి మాతాజీ శ్రీ నిర్మలా దేవ్యై నమో నమః. ఓం త్వమేవ సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ కల్కి సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ ఆదిశక్తి మాతాజీ శ్రీ నిర్మలా దేవ్యై నమో నమః. ॐ त्वमेव साक्षात् श्रीकल्की साक्षात् श्रीसहस्रार स्वामिनी मोक्षप्रदायिनी माताजी श्रीनिर्मला देव्यै नमो नमः।
అమ్మా, కర్త మీరే, క్రియ మీరే. మేము ప్రేక్షకులకు మాత్రమే మీ యొక్క చక్కటి దీవెనలను, ఆశీస్సులను మాకు అందజేయండి. ఇప్పుడు మనము కుడి చేతిని భూమి మీద పెట్టుకుందాము, ఎడమ చేతిని ఒళ్ళో పెట్టుకుందాము. అమ్మా, మా యొక్క ఇడనాడిని భూతత్వం ద్వారా పూర్తిగా శుద్ధిపరచండి తల్లి. ఈ యొక్క ఎడమ భాగంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అధిక వేడిని భూతత్వం ద్వారా తొలగించండి తల్లి. అమ్మా, మా ఇడానాడిలోన శ్రీ మహాకాళి యొక్క తత్వాన్ని పెంపొందించండి. అమ్మా, మా ఎడమ భాగంలో ఉన్నటువంటి గతానికి సంబంధించినటువంటి అన్ని రకాల ఆలోచనల్ని మా నుంచి పూర్తిగా దూరం చేయండి. ఇక్కడ మనము శ్రీ మహాకాళి సాక్షాత్, శ్రీ భైరవనాథ్ సాక్షాత్ అనేటువంటి మంత్రాన్ని కలిపి తీసుకుందాము. త్వమేవ సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ మహాకాళి సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ భైరవనాథ్ సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ ఆదిశక్తి మాతాజీ శ్రీ నిర్మలా దేవ్యై నమో నమః. కొద్దిసేపు పూర్తిగా మన యొక్క చిత్తాన్ని ఇడనాడి పైన ఉంచుదాము. మన యొక్క ఎడమ చేతి యొక్క అరచేతిలోను, మన చేతి వేళ్లలోను, మన యొక్క కుడి చేతికి భూమికి మధ్య ఏమి జరుగుతుందో పరిశీలిద్దాము. ఇప్పుడు మన కుడి చేతిని మన ఒళ్ళో పెట్టుకొని ఎడమ చేతిని ఆకాశం వైపు చూపెడదాము. అమ్మా, మా యొక్క పింగళ నాడిని ఆకాశతత్వం ద్వారా పూర్తిగా శుద్ధిపరచండి. మా యొక్క పింగళ నాడిని చక్కగా చల్లబరచండి తల్లి. మా కుడి భాగంలోకి వస్తున్నటువంటి అన్ని రకాల ఆటంకాలను ఆకాశతత్వం ద్వారా తొలగించండి. మా కుడి భాగంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అసమతుల్యతలను పూర్తిగా తొలగించండి. మాలో శ్రీ హనుమాన శక్తిని పెంపొందించండి. మా కుడి భాగంలోనికి వస్తున్నటువంటి అన్ని రకాల అడ్డంకులను ఆకాశతత్వం ద్వారా పూర్తిగా తొలగించండి. మా పింగళ నాడిలో ఉన్నటువంటి భవిష్యత్తుకు సంబంధించిన అన్ని రకాల ప్రణాళికలను, భవిష్యత్తుకు సంబంధించినటువంటి ఆలోచనలను మా నుంచి పూర్తిగా దూరం చేయండి తల్లి. కొద్దిసేపు పూర్తిగా మన చిత్తాన్ని పింగళ నాడి పైన ఉంచుదాము. ఇదంతా కూడా మన శరీరంలో జరిగేటువంటి మన యొక్క ఇంట్రాస్పెక్షన్ మనము గమనించటమే. మనలో చైతన్య తరంగాల ప్రవాహము అసలు ఎక్కడి నుంచి మొదలయ్యింది? ఎలా మొదలయ్యింది? ప్రవాహం వస్తుందా? లేదా? అనేటువంటిదే మనము గమనించుకుంటూ ఉండాలి. మన యొక్క ఆత్మ పరిశీలన అంటుంటాం గదా! ఆత్మ పరిశీలన చేసుకునేటువంటి అవకాశం శ్రీ మాతాజీ మనకు ఇచ్చినప్పుడు, ఈ యొక్క సదవకాశాన్ని మనము చక్కగా ఉపయోగించుకుందాము. 2 చేతులను మన ఒళ్ళో పెట్టుకొని, మన యొక్క చిత్తాన్ని పూర్తిగా సహస్రారం మీద నిలుపుదాము. అమ్మా, మా శరీరంలో ఉన్నటువంటి అధిక వేడిని పూర్తిగా తొలగించండి. మాలో ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని రకాల అసమతుల్యతల్ని తొలగించండి. మమ్మల్ని సమతుల్య స్థితిలో ఉంచండి. తద్వారా ధ్యానంలో నిమగ్నమయ్యేటువంటి అవకాశాన్ని మాకు ప్రసాదించండి. ఒక్కసారి మన కుడి చేతిని మన హృదయం మీద పెట్టుకుందాము. అమ్మా, మా యొక్క హృదయ కవాటాల్ని పూర్తిగా తెరవండి. అమ్మా, మీరు మా యొక్క హృదయ చక్రంలోనికి ప్రవేశించి, మా హృదయ చక్రాన్ని శుద్ధిపరచండి తల్లి. తద్వారా మీ ప్రేమను పొందేటువంటి అవకాశాన్ని మాకు ప్రసాదించండి. మీ యొక్క పాదపద్మములను మా హృదయంలో దర్శించుకునేటువంటి సౌభాగ్యాన్ని మాకు ప్రసాదించండి. అమ్మా, మా హృదయ చక్రంలో మీ పాదపద్మములను ధరించి పూజించుకునేటువంటి అవకాశాన్ని మాకు అందించండి. ఆత్మను గురించినటువంటి అవగాహనను మాకు అందించండి తల్లి. మాలో ఈ ఆత్మ జ్ఞానాన్ని పెంపొందించండి తల్లి. అమ్మా, మాలో ఉన్నటువంటి అభద్రతా భావాన్ని పూర్తిగా తొలగించండి. మాలో పేరుకుపోయి ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని రకాల భయాలను మా నుంచి పూర్తిగా దూరం చేయండి తల్లి. ఇప్పుడు మన యొక్క కుడి చేతిని నుదుటి మీద పెట్టుకుందాము. ఒకసారి కొద్దిగా తలను కిందికి వంచేసి, అమ్మా, నేను అందరినీ క్షమిస్తున్నాను. నన్ను నేను క్షమించుకుంటున్నాను. నన్ను నేను క్షమించుకుంటున్నాను. నెమ్మదిగా మన కుడి చేతిని సహస్రారం మీద పెట్టుకొని జస్ట్ 1కి 2 సార్లు మంచిగా చక్కగా సవ్య దిశలో చక్కగా రొటేట్ చేస్తూ మనలో మనము చెప్పుకుందాము. హృదయస్ఫూర్తిగా చెప్పుకుందాము. అమ్మా, మా యొక్క ఆత్మ సాక్షాత్కారాన్ని దృఢపరచండి. మా యొక్క ఆత్మ సాక్షాత్కారాన్ని స్థిరపరచండి. 2 చేతులు మన ఒళ్ళో పెట్టుకుందాం ఇప్పుడు. ఇప్పుడు మన కుడి చేతిని భూమి మీద పెట్టి, ఎడమ చేతిని ఒళ్ళో ఉంచుకొని, ఎడమ మూలాధారం మీద మన యొక్క చిత్తాన్ని నిలుపుతూ మనము గణేష అథర్వ శీర్ష తీసుకుందాము.
श्री गणेश अथर्व शीर्षम। ओम नमस्ते गणपतये त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं तत्त्वमसि त्वमेव केवलं कर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं धर्तासि त्वमेव केवलं हर्तासि त्वमेव सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्मासि त्वं साक्षादात्मासि नित्यं ऋतं वच्मि सत्यं वच्मि अवत्वं माम् अववक्तारम् अवश्रोतारम् अवदातारम् अवधातारम् अवानुचानमवशिष्यम् अवपश्चात्तात् अवपुरस्तात् अवोत्तरात्तात् अवदक्षिणात्तात् अवचोर्ध्वात्तात् अवाधरात्तात् सर्वतो मां पाहि पाहि समन्तात् त्वं वाङ्मयस्त्वं चिन्मयः त्वमानन्दमयस्त्वं ब्रह्ममयः त्वं सच्चिदानन्दाद्वितीयोऽसि त्वं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वं ज्ञानमयो विज्ञानमयोऽसि सर्वं जगदिदं त्वत्तो जायते सर्वं जगदिदं त्वत्तस्तिष्ठति सर्वं जगदिदं त्वयि लयमेष्यति सर्वं जगदिदं त्वयि प्रत्येति त्वं भूमिरापो नलो निलो नभः त्वं चत्वारि वाक्पदानि त्वं गुणत्रयातीतः त्वं देहत्रयातीतः त्वं कालत्रयातीतः त्वं मूलाधारस्थितोऽसि नित्यं त्वं शक्तित्रयात्मकः त्वां योगिनो ध्यायन्ति नित्यं त्वं ब्रह्मा त्वं विष्णुस्त्वं रुद्रस्त्वम् इन्द्रस्त्वम् अग्निस्त्वं वायुस्त्वं सूर्यस्त्वं चन्द्रमास्त्वं ब्रह्मभूर्भुवस्वरों गणादिं पूर्वमुच्चार्य वर्णादिं तदनन्तरम् अनुस्वारपरतरः अर्धेन्दुलसितं तारेण ऋद्धम् एतत्तव मनुस्वरूपं गकारपूर्वरूपम् अकारो मध्यमरूपम् अनुस्वारश्चान्त्यरूपं बिन्दुरुत्तररूपं नादसन्धानं संहिता सन्धिः सैषा गणेशविद्या गणकऋषिः निच्छृद्गायत्री छन्दः गणपतिर्देवता ॐ गं गणपतये नमः एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्ती प्रचोदयात् एकदन्तं चतुर्हस्तं पाशमङ्कुशधारिणं रदञ्च वरदं हस्तैर्बिभ्राणं मूषकध्वजं रक्तं लम्बोदरं शूर्पकर्णकं रक्तवाससं रक्तगन्धानुलिप्ताङ्गं रक्तपुष्पैः सुपूजितं भक्तानुकम्पिनं देवं जगत्कारणमच्युतम् आविर्भूतं च सृष्ट्यादौ प्रकृते पुरुषात् परम् एवं ध्यायति यो नित्यं स योगी योगिनां वरः नमो व्रातपतये नमो गणपतये नमः प्रमथपतये नमस्ते लम्बोदरायैकदन्ताय विघ्ननाशिने शिवसुताय श्रीवरदमूर्तये नमो नमः साक्षात् श्री आदिशक्ति माताजी श्री निर्मला देव्यै नमो नमः।
ఇప్పుడు మన యొక్క కుడి చేతిని మన ఒళ్ళో పెట్టుకొని ఎడమ చేతిని భూమి మీద పెట్టి మన యొక్క చిత్తాన్ని కొద్దిసేపు కుడి మూలాధారం మీద పెట్టుకుందాము. అమ్మా, మీరే శ్రీ కార్తికేయ రూపంలో ఉన్నటువంటి మీరు మా కుడి మూలాధారంలోనికి వచ్చేసి కుడి మూలాధారంను పూర్తిగా శుద్ధిపరచండి తల్లి. ఇక్కడ శ్రీ కార్తికేయ మంత్రం తీసుకుందాం ఒక్కసారి. ఓం త్వమేవ సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ కార్తికేయ సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ ఆదిశక్తి माताजी श्री निर्मला దేవ్యై నమో నమః. మనలో ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని వినాశనాలను పూర్తిగా తొలగించేటట్లు ఇక్కడ ఒక 2 మంత్రాలను తీసుకుందాం మనం. మొదటగా రాక్షస అగ్ని సాక్షాత్. ఓం త్వమేవ సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ రాక్షస అగ్ని సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ ఆదిశక్తి మాతాజీ శ్రీ నిర్మలా దేవ్యై నమో నమః. ఇప్పుడు రాక్షస హంత్రి. ఓం త్వమేవ సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ రాక్షస హంత్రి సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ ఆదిశక్తి మాతాజీ శ్రీ నిర్మలా దేవ్యై నమో నమః. ఇప్పుడు 2 చేతులను మన ఒళ్ళో పెట్టుకొని మన యొక్క చిత్తాన్ని మధ్య మూలాధార దగ్గర కొద్దిసేపు నిలుపుదాము. ఇక్కడ మనం ఒక్కసారి గౌరీ గణేష సాక్షాత్ అనే మంత్రాన్ని తీసుకుందాము. ఓం త్వమేవ సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ గౌరీ గణేష సాక్షాత్ శ్రీ ఆదిశక్తి మాతాజీ శ్రీ నిర్మలా దేవ్యై నమో నమః. మన యొక్క చిత్తాన్ని మధ్య మూలాధార దగ్గర నుంచి నెమ్మదిగా మన వెన్నెముకలోని మిగతా చక్రాల గుండా ఒక్కొక్కటిగా పైకి వస్తూ పూర్తిగా చిత్తాన్ని మన యొక్క సహస్రాలలో నిలుపుదాము. ఎప్పుడైతే మన యొక్క చిత్తము సహస్రార మీద పూర్తిగా ఏకీకృతం అవుతుందో, ఏకీకృతం అవడానికి కొద్దిగా ప్రయత్నం చేద్దాము. సో మనం ఈ స్థితిలోనే శ్రీ మాతాజీ యొక్క ప్రవచనం విందాము. ఒక ఎడమ నాభి గురించి శ్రీ మాతాజీ గురించి వివరించారు. మళ్ళీ మన యొక్క కుడి నాడి గురించినటువంటి దాని గురించి కూడా కొన్ని విషయాలను శ్రీ మాతాజీ చక్కగా విశదీకరించారు. అది మనము ధ్యానం చేద్దాము శ్రీ మాతాజీ యొక్క ప్రవచనం ద్వారా. శ్రీ మాతాజీ యొక్క ప్రవచనము.
A person who runs after money too much forgets his family. He has no time for his family. The husband and wife may meet somewhere on the airport, or the children suffer the most. And in that case, the women also then take up with the men. They compete, what's wrong? They start copying men. And in that, so doing, then what happens? That this family life gets disturbed. The woman of the household is dissatisfied her ego is not satisfied. In olden times, the man used to go in the jungle and get all the wood cut, bring it home, and give it to the wife, and wife used to cook. There was no problem because there was barter system. He could see her working in the household. Now the husband earns the money and the woman spends. I mean, that also requires some work, isn't it, to spend the money. But to man, it looks like that I'm the earning member and she's the spender. So she says, all right, I will also earn. But in this, too much of competition like this between the two, what happens? The family suffers, the children suffer. And such a person will have problem with the wife will have problem with the husband, and you can always feel that center on this finger. If that finger is catching, that means there's something wrong with your family relationship, that you have to adjust yourself and he has to adjust. It's an important thing. Because you are like the flowers which have to produce a fruit. That's what nature wants. Nature wants that you are there to produce the fruit, that is your children. That's why you are men and women. That's the basics. Now, if you think that with that responsibility, if you can do something else, you should do. And if you don't do that, is to look after your children, to give them joy, have a beautiful nest for them, then I must say that you are neglecting your basic duty and your attention on something else. That's why so many divorces are taking place and problems are there. Then women ask for their rights, they go beyond their limits, they become dominating here, the men become dominating. That's not the way we are going to solve. We have to know that we are two wheels of one chariot. One on the left, another in the right. Now they are not similar. They are not similar. There are two types, one left side, one on the right side. But they are equal. Whatever they do, it's equal. They are to be respected equally in the same manner. And it is always so. For example, I had a girl who came to me and she was a private secretary. And she told me, Mother, you say this, but I have seen that all these men come and flirt with their private secretaries. So I said, all right, maybe so. But what does that matter? You see, that shows there's something wrong with the man. He doesn't understand. He's off his head. He cannot enjoy his wife and he's running after other things. It's like having something in your house and you're looking at other things, you see. Like in India, if you go to somebody comes to your house, be careful about your things. But in England, I tell them, if somebody comes to your house, be careful about your wife. See, it's just a little difference between, but the second one is a dangerous thing because fundamental. The wife is the fundamental thing because you do not know what she will do, how she will react, and you do not know how the guest, because that is regarded as their freedom. But if you take away something from somebody's house, that's not freedom, because we can take away anything from somebody's house. Why should anybody arrest us? Because there is a free will for you to do what you like, is allowed to do what you like, but in that free will you are harming so many people and ultimately your society. Now these two wheels, as I said, are very important to God. Because so many great people want to take birth on this earth. So many great souls want to take birth on this earth. And if we behave in such a manner that all the time this chariot is this way going up or that way going up, I can tell you no child would be willing to be born in this place who are great people. Only the people who are of the worst type will be born. There will be hooligans, there will be horrible people with a horrid nature, and they'll spoil the whole atmosphere of the countries where husband and wife do not have good relationship. The children will be such hooligans and such horrible things that will be surprised that at the age of 8 years and 5 years they'll be committing murders and doing all kinds of such things that will be shocked. Now between you and me, because you are also husbands and wife, and one thing it should be there, that we should not quarrel before our children. We should have all decency of husband and wife. There are so many things we do not do in the presence of our children. In the same way, we need not sit down and quarrel and say, I hate you and I hate you. I tell you, this is something you have to change a little bit in our language. In India, if somebody says, I hate you, it's regarded, that man regarded as the most unmannerly person. I mean, it's very bad manners to say, I hate you. How? I mean, it shows that you are a very low type of a person to say like that. But I hate you, so what? If you hate, so what? You are not God. If you hate me, what does it matter? Actually, if somebody hates someone, so what? That shows that person is not a good person, just to hate someone. I hate you is a way of expressing something that is, I feel, is very wrong for the family system. It shocks children. Children look upon you as ideals. When they are born, you should see them. Most of the children nowadays in Australia are born realized. I see them around when I went to the airport and I see they are born realized. And they watch, and they're surprised, and they sulk, and they feel very sad. They don't take sides. They don't like the father to fight the mother to fight. And one other thing which you must understand, that a certain gradation has to be there. A woman is the strongest point of the household, like this Mother Earth is. She takes all the problems upon herself. Because she's the strongest. Who else can withstand this kind of weight on her? It's the mother only. In the same way, a woman in the house is the mother, and she has to bear up. You see, it's nice to have a husband who comes home and says whatever he likes and takes out all the filth on you, than to have a husband who is very sweet, hello, hello, and outside he goes like a bumptious tiger on everyone. Such a man has to, you see, they are like children, I would say. They are like children. They have to take out their tensions on their wives only. And you should be an absorber of that. And that's the sign of a woman. A strong woman doesn't get easily disturbed by these things. She's not bothered. She says, all right, you little baby, come along. Now I have had 4 babies. Now this is the 5th one, which is the smallest has come. Let him shout and scream. Even with the children, you have to be patient. They'll hit you. They'll do anything. I would say that way in India, children are treated very kindly, and there are special things. They will do what they like when they are children. But when they grow up, we do not have teenage problem. We do not have problem when the children don't respect. This is a very important aspect of our modern life that we have to understand. What is the relationship of husband and wife is? Husband is like, say, a gentleman who is definitely is to be respected by the wife. But if she does not respect the husband, she cannot get respect for her children. But the husband has to be a respectable man. That's very important. If the man is not respectable, he cannot be respected easily. But the more is the woman has to be very respectable. If she doesn't give her respect, you can handle any kind of man if you are clever enough. Drunkards, all sorts, they come around. Because after all, they are human beings. They are not bad people. But because of mishandling, they just get out. And the domination of men is just a myth. See, they cannot dominate. They are incapable of domination. They just do it because they want to feel that they are superior. That's all. But they cannot dominate. Whatever the domination, what is their domination? It's little things here and there. Just like children. That's what it is. If women understand their maturity and their responsibility as women, because they are the Shakti. They are the power of the family. And they are the potent Shakti for the husband as well as for the children. But if they get disturbed, then the husband is disturbed and children are also disturbed. But they are potent. While the kinetics are these people, like here is the electricity, all right. So we say very good lamp and electricity and all that. But from where does it come? The source is somewhere quietly sending the source and enjoying itself by giving that source. In the same way, this is a very important center. Why I said it? Because today I went to Melbourne and all the time this finger was burning up to this point. So that means there's something wrong with men and women as far as their family life is concerned. They are all very upset, I felt. The husband is upset and the women. Maybe the laws may be against men, maybe here, I don't know, but in America I found a husband and wife relationship is very queer. For example, I met a lady with very queer people there. I went and stayed with a lady. She had a luxurious house with a swimming pool and this and a maid even coming to do everything up and 5 stories and this. And she said, you see, one of my former husband will come and see you in Los Angeles. I said, all right, very good idea. So he came, he was like a pauper, walking like this. And he says, I have got a room on rent where I am staying, mother. It's very difficult, I have to share it with someone. I said, what? That lady who was there, she has a very big house, she's supposed to be a wife. He said, that's mine. I tell you, I lost it to her in a case. I said, how could you lose that in a case? Because she asked for a divorce and because she found guilty out of me something. So she got it. And she married 3 husbands. All the 3 husbands are moving like paupers, and this lady is very rich. If you marry 7 husbands are finished forever, but the lady is so rich 7 times more than any one of them. So this is kind of a law I don't understand. First of all, why there should be a law I don't understand between husband and wife. I just don't understand. I mean, we don't have such laws in India, but everybody cares for the wife because she is the nearest and the dearest person they have. Who else to depend? If the woman is dedicated and devoted to husband, do you think he'll run after any other woman? He has to come back to her. So he'll be so fed up with these women who just live for money or anything, and he has to come back. So you see, one has to take a very wise decision because you must understand you are born at a juncture, whether on which you will be destroyed completely or you will be saved completely. It's a very important thing. You have to save humanity. You are born at a time when you have to save humanity. It's not only Kundalini awakening that will help because you might be saved, but you have to save the whole society, the whole family, the whole, I should say the whole universe or the whole creation will have no meaning if you people are destroyed. Now this is one of the way of destruction, by destroying the family. The children become mad, the husband becomes mad, they all end up in orphanages. That's what I've seen. They are mostly in orphanages in their old age. There's nobody to bother about. So it's a question of giving and giving and giving. Second side is the right side. The gentleman is not here who asked me question. Is here? He was just busy asking questions, that's all yesterday. He's not interested in seeking, I think. Alright. Now the second side, on the right hand side, is the power by which we act. First we desire and then we act. Now this power, right side power, is expressed within us as right sympathetic nervous system. Science has come from the same. Science is in the growth, these are all subtle things that are within us. Now this right side power, which exists within us, gives us the power for our mental and physical capacity to act. Now this action takes place when we desire something, we want to implement that desire, then we go into action. One has to understand what sort of a power is this. This power is called as Prana Shakti in Sanskrit, Prana. And the another one, the left one, as Mana Shakti, is the power of the emotions or can say of the mind. But you see, English language is not so clear cut about it. So I would say Mana Shakti and Prana Shakti. These are the 2 powers that exist within us. And we start using them as left and right, we can say like a brake and an accelerator, and then we become the master of driving. But while becoming that, we make mistakes. The human mind has a speciality to go to extremes. Supposing I tell somebody, now you have to meditate. They'll meditate for 5 hours. There is no need to meditate for 5 hours or anything. But if you tell them that you have to stand on your head, they'll do it for 10 hours. So there is no need to go to extremes. We have to be just in the center, be kind to our body, be kind to ourselves. There's nothing to be frantic about. There's nothing to be so much exasperated about it. It's just very simple thing that has to happen. For example, think of a seed which is sold in a very loud music, or say a place where everybody is rushing, shouting, screaming. What will happen? That seed will never sprout. If it is in a peaceful place, is a properly placed one, or not in a tilted pot, then it will definitely develop into a beautiful tree or a beautiful shrub, whatever it has to develop into. In the same way, if we are too much on the extremes, we go to the left and to the right. Now going to the left, I told you yesterday what happens, that all these things like hypnosis and ESPs and most of these gurus try these tricks, you see, like they just make you hypnotized and people become absolutely mad over the guru. Oh, he is our guru, and they behave just like absolutely people without any brains. So I feel no, I sleep in. The reason is that you feel there's a sort of a sense of security built in this gentleman, and if I'm following him, see, he's going to heaven and I'm going with him to heaven. It doesn't happen like that. You have to individually go into heaven yourself, and you have to become your own guru, and you have to know everything about it. It's not that anybody can put a trailer behind and put some people into it and say, now come along, I'm going to heaven. Most of these people are really going to hell, and you will follow them very fast. So it is never so, believe me, that anybody who says that following a certain guru will go to heaven is absolutely wrong. You must follow in the principle, and every guru who is a real guru will always tell you that you have to become something. He'll never just say, all right, you've given me the money, all right, you are the member, now you are my child, now you are my disciple, and I'll give you my love. Let's have love. Where is the love? And give more money, give me Rolls Royces, give me this, give me that. And like mad, we are doing it thinking that we can exchange this. Now, as we are seekers, we have every right to find our spirits. And we are not to be deluded by any such tricks and pranks of these people, or I would say very sinister methods that they are employing. Not only to deceive you for money. I don't mind, there are smugglers, let them have money what they want to have. But they spoil your chances of realization, which you do not realize. And once they are spoiled, it's very difficult to do realization. And if you do not really positively work it out, it's going to be an impossible situation. I've seen people who have suffered on account of this. Now this action within us acts for our mental and physical capacities on the right hand side. Like we think of the future. Now we're planning, we start. It's planning. Now we must do this tomorrow or day after tomorrow. We have to do it, and we start sitting. Now I'll go there and I'll find this, and then I'll take a ticket, and then I'll go there. I mean, our mind is working for the future. So much so we become absolutely futuristic. To such an extent, sometimes I've met people who are futuristic, they even forget their own names. Can you believe it? I mean, they don't even remember their father's name, that's all right, but even their own names they forget. I mean, they are like mad because they don't remember their own names and they don't know where are they, what are they doing. I have met people of that kind who are really sick people because they have become so futuristic now that they do not know anything about their past. Now, this futuristic behavior starts in a society where people always think of the future. What will I do? What am I to do tomorrow? What am I to achieve tomorrow? And all these things, when they start doing, their attention goes to the right extreme. Now in this place, we are very dangerously placed when we start looking for the future. And the future seeing is a imaginary stuff. It's absolutely imaginary. Because what you think of the future doesn't exist. What exists is the present. You have to be in the present, not in the future. But people will say you have to be in the present. But how? We cannot. Either we are in the past or in the future. Because when the thought wave rises, it comes up and goes down. Another thought wave rises, goes up and comes down. Now, this thought wave which comes up, we go with it, but we don't see it's going down. Another thought wave that rises, we see that, but we don't see where it goes out. And so we are jumping on the cusp of these thoughts, and we do not know the past or perhaps with the future. But in the center of these two thoughts, there is the present. And we don't know how to take our attention there, which is a very difficult thing. And just to say that you should be in the center is not possible. All these things, you should do this, you should do that, is not going to work out. Unless and until there is light. For example, there is no light in this room. And you say, walk straight. You cannot walk because you can't see where is the passage, how to walk. Even if you order to whatever you please, you cannot just walk straight without touching any of these chairs because there is no light, you can't see. So one has to understand that in the futuristic life when we live, when we plan too much for the future, actually what we are living in an imaginary world. We have many stories of people who lived in imaginary worlds and how they found that everything was destroyed. And there are people who work it out through their physical efforts, and when they go into their physical efforts, they create another problem for them because they just become physically oriented. And if you are just physically oriented, the spirit gets angry. So the right side movement is for the people who are very meticulous, you see what you can call the people who are very particular about the time, and who are very firm about things, who are very dry people, and who are very straight and they won't tolerate any nonsense, that sort of people, you see that you find normally, and that sort of people become a headache and they are very boring. You can't just bear their company, they can be very boring people. And they give you big lectures about how to be straightforward and how to walk straight, absolutely. In the nature, nothing is straight. It all moves so beautifully because the nature is created out of varieties. And variety brings the beauty. They don't think of beauty, they don't think of love or compassion, nothing. For them it is a very meticulous world, and that's how they live. Such people are developing a big ego within themselves, as you see there in the yellow stuff in the head called as ego. Let me show. By the action of the left side, emotional side, we develop a superego, but by the action of the right side, we develop an ego. Now this ego is not easy to be seen, because if you have a superego, you have pains in the body, you are a miserable person, you have wrinkles on the face, and you look absolutely worn out. But if you have ego, then you look so dynamic. We can say that Hitler was the extreme of this ego business. And he got into his head that he is some sort of a God incarnation, and that he has to save the people, and he was the one who knows about races and everything, and he is supposed to save some race. This kind of idea comes from these people who are right-sided. They are very aggressive. They may be very good to talk to, they may be very humble to look at, could be very good businessmen, could be anything. But they do not know that they have this Mr. Ego coming up on their heads just like a big balloon, and they are floating in the air. The end of ego is stupidity, you will be surprised. The end of ego is stupidity. Such people end up into all kinds of stupid things, and they say, what's wrong? For example, I have known old people behaving in so stupid ways, and they say, what's wrong? You know, an old man, say, of 90 years, who can't even walk without a stake, stakes to these dances you do, and then he falls down, you see, and he thinks, what's wrong? Like a lady I knew, she was about 85, she died from a horse falling down. Naturally, what else do you expect at 85? That's what is evident. For a lady of 85, she should settle down at home, look after her grandchildren. Maybe she might have a great grandchildren, you see. Instead of that, why does she want to be 25-year-old lady to climb on a horse? So all such stupid things they do, and then they will say, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong in stupidity, what's wrong? But such people are a nuisance to the society, to others. The people who are superego are troublesome to themselves, but those are egoistical are troublesome to others. They are all the time correcting others, torturing others, putting their ideas onto other people, and such people can be very, very successful, because nothing succeeds like success. They go on hammering things into the heads of people, saying, now this is true, and when you go on saying it, you should suddenly believe, yes, must be true. And such people are much more dangerous, I would say, from the superego type. But for people who do not know the tricks of the superego, they can be very, very, very dangerous, because they are very subtle. You cannot see them. They mesmerize, and they can possess you, and they can be very sly, and they can work out all sorts of methods which you are not aware of. So it is not easy to choose which is better, which is not better. Both things are wrong to go to extremes on the right or to the left. Now let's see what happens physically. As I told about the cancer on the left hand side that we do, physically what happens to people who are futuristic? We have a center especially for futuristic behavior called as Swadhisthana chakra, which is in the gross manifesting the plexus called the aortic plexus within us. Now this Swadhisthana chakra is very important for human beings, especially for people who are developed people. With this chakra, actually, we convert the fat of the stomach for the use of the brain. Now this is the center of the Surya, of the sun. Now when we start thinking, these cells are converted in such a way that they become useful to the brain. Now, if you are thinking all the time you are thinking, then what will happen? I mean, the horns are not going to grow out of that. You are consuming all that. And when you are consuming all those cells, you have to have replacement. And for that replacement, this Swadhisthana chakra has to work very hard to convert the cells for the use of your brain. Now, when it is doing that, there are other things which this Swadhisthana chakra has to look after. For example, your liver, your pancreas, your spleen, your kidneys, all are to for
మన యొక్క చిత్తాన్ని పూర్తిగా సహస్రారం మీదనే నిలుపుతూ మనము ఇప్పుడు మ్యూజిక్ ని ఆస్వాదిద్దాము. జై శ్రీ మాతాజీ. ఈరోజు ఈ చక్కటి ధ్యాన కార్యక్రమాన్ని మాకు అందించినందుకు ధన్యవాదములు తల్లి. ఈ ధ్యాన కార్యక్రమంలో తెలిసి కానీ తెలియక కానీ మా వలన ఏమైనా తప్పులు జరిగినట్లయితే మమ్మల్ని క్షమించండి, మమ్మల్ని క్షమించండి. అమ్మా, మీ యొక్క ఆశీస్సులు మా మీద ఉంచినందుకు కోటి కోటి ప్రణామములు తల్లి, కోటి కోటి ప్రణామములు, అనంత కోటి ప్రణామములు. మనం ఇప్పుడు బంధం తీసుకుందాము.
జై శ్రీ మాతాజీ అండి. తిరిగి రేపు ఉదయం జరిగే 5:30 గంటల జరిగే ధ్యాన కార్యక్రమంలో మళ్ళీ కలుసుకుందాం.